Hello everybody, thanks for coming here. My name is Richard Bondro, President of North Iowa Beekeepers Club. Over here we have Madison, our secretary, Veronica, our club queen. In the back, Tim Stumo, our past president. So, everybody got a chance to sign up for the door prizes and raffles over here. We also have a little bit of snack. We have some coffee when it gets done here, the snack match, and a little honey lemonade over there if you want to try some.
Don't forget about the brownies.
The brownies, yeah.
You don't want to take them home, is that what you're saying?
I was just thinking I had one, I might go for another.
Okay, if anybody wants, you can bring any of the door prize stuff over here. You can bring stuff. So you can bring anything. It doesn't have to be honey related. So just bring door prize if you like. So, all right. We're still looking for a vice president. Haven't heard anything from anybody yet. So if anybody's interested or know anybody that would be interested, get a hold of one of us, and we'll get you going on that. So. I said last year, this year we're gonna do something a little different. We talked about it. We're gonna do meetings all year round. Talked about it a little bit. We figured just doing it in the fall, winter, and the spring is good, but through the spring, summer, into the fall is when we need to kind of get together and when people need a little more help. So we decided to go year-round meetings. So the only meeting we won't have on the second Tuesday of the month will be our May meeting, and May 14th we'll be at P&P Honey, Pat and Peggy's, for our spring field day again, like we did last year. So if you want to learn a lot about bees and stuff like that and get into beehives, it'd be a great day to come down there. So, North Iowa Bee Club auction, April 23rd. So go through your stuff. If you want to put stuff on the auction and stuff like that. We won't be consigning something yet, but we'll probably start after the first year. We'll kind of get things going. So, but if you know anything you need or want to put on the auction, just kind of keep mind of it. And after the first year, we'll kind of get stuff going on that. So, we usually have a pretty good turnout. So, let's see, anything else here? I think that's right here now. I guess August. The other one, we will not have a meeting in August. That's the Iowa State Fair, and also where everybody's doing honey extracting. So we will not meet in August. That'd be the only month we will not meet. So, anybody got anything else here now? You want to talk about it a little bit? If not, we'll turn it over to Sarah here. And she'll start in with the program, and then we'll continue after that.
You guys don't have anything to say? No? All right. My name's Sarah. I have traveled a long way to speak to you guys tonight. Just kidding. I'm from just north of Ankeny, so it wasn't too far. This is my first time doing like an official presentation. I'm super laid back and casual, so if you have a question, just ask it. Don't raise your hand or be weird, okay? Just ask me. All right, so tonight I'm going to talk to you guys about, value-added products. How can you add value to the precious honey and beeswax that you spent all summer making? So I'm going to dive right in here and talk about myself. So a little bit about me. I never imagined this being my life, ever. So I lived in town. I never had animals growing up. We never had bees or anything like that. This adventure kind of all started with a terrible neighbor in town and a fitness lifestyle. So my boyfriend and I, Tyler, he's my other half. I'll talk about him frequently throughout this. But Tyler and I lived in Ankeny, and we were both very into CrossFit, and we would work out regularly, and it was next to a Tractor Supply. And I saw the sign one spring, and it said Chick Days. I'm like, Tyler, we need chickens. And he said okay, and we just walked over there with zero plan and bought chickens. And we kept them in our backyard in town, and our neighbor was horrible, and she didn't have any other hobbies, so she made it her job to get us in trouble and basically run us out of town.
That's no problem.
That was our hobby, yes. So, we bought chickens in 2014, we lived in town, and our outlaw chickens caused us problems all the way until fall of 2015, where my best friend's grandpa was selling his acreage, which was a small farm. And we decided, let's buy the farm. There was an apple tree in the yard that Tyler really liked, and that's literally why we bought the farm. So we moved in fall of 2015, and then springtime, well, not even spring, but January of that year, I took a beekeeping class from Andrew Joseph, because my grandpa actually died when I was 7 in a plane crash. My whole family is pilots. But he was a beekeeper, and my dad was a beekeeper, and my dad would tell stories about selling honey out of the back of his truck at the Ankeny Farmers Market, and he was in like the newspaper and stuff like that. I thought it was really cool, and I guess I wanted to feel like closer to my grandpa and like know kind of what that was about, so I took the class, and I had intentions of having 2 hives, which did not happen, by the way. So, and then in that same year, 2016, I got a hive for Valentine's Day, and May, we got our packages, or late April, whenever that was, and I actually broke my foot at that same time, so I was in a cast. I learned the hard way that high heels and the farm don't mix, so I don't actually wear those anymore, and my life has changed drastically. So during the package installation and everything like that, I couldn't be there doing it like I originally planned because I was holding crutches and all, cast up. And so Tyler ended up doing most of it for me, and he'd give me piggyback rides to the hive. But long story short, he stole my hobby. So he fell in love with the bees, and our 2 little hobby hives has turned into 200. And it kind of rules our lives right now. So that is how this started. Also in May of 2016, we went to our first ever farmers market, and I'm not talking like, oh, we went there to shop. Like the first time we ever went to a farmers market, we were vendors. So that's how this whole thing started. And then 2017 was the first year we sent our bees to California, and we had 4 hives. Like, I think about it now, I'm like, wow, how did we even stumble across that opportunity? Because usually you need a substantial amount to be sending your bees off to California. And in very early in 2018, I quit my full-time job, and around May, Tyler actually also quit his full-time job where we both met in the car industry, and we totally just changed career paths. I never did a full-time job again, and I worked so many part-time jobs, waitressing and doing whatever weird hour jobs, because I had this goal in mind that someday this would be my full-time job and I would actually get paid to do it. So I got my first employee of the Holton Homestead in 2019, and her name is Brooke, and she got a paycheck long before I ever did. We got into our first Hy-Vee location last year in 2020 for wholesaling our honey, and I actually started getting paid this year. Woo! This is now my full-time job. This is all I do. I don't have any other rando part-time jobs or doing anything else crazy. I just eat, sleep, breathe Holton Homestead. And we currently have 6 employees. I have 2 full-time employees, and then the rest are part-time, not including myself. And so there's the gang right there, and you guys can kind of see what's going on. So, what's value added? Basically, you have a product. How do you get somebody to buy it? How do you get somebody to buy it for the price you want? What are you doing that's different to get noticed? Those kind of things are all wrapped into value added. There's the actual definition if you care. So how do you add value? The number one thing, and the very easiest way, is to label your product. It really saddens me. I attend so many farmers markets, and when I see jars of honey with no label, it's like, what? What? First of all, you're breaking rules, but besides that, like, let's show some pride in what you just spent all summer doing and put a label on your jar. You know, make it, and if you want to go above and beyond, besides just, you know, bare minimum of, okay, we have a jar of, what is this? I mean, it could be anything. You don't even know if you don't have a label on it. So then you can take your label and actually make it different than everyone else's and set yourself apart. And maybe make it more attractive if it's on grocery store shelves. Actually, when we got into Hy-Vee last year, we had these awesome clear labels, and at the farmer's market, they are beautiful. The sun shines right through them. It's awesome. Well, on a Hy-Vee shelf, we learned there's no sunlight. It actually just looks like shit up there, okay? It was dark, nobody could read it, and nobody was buying it. And we're like, well, why is nobody buying it? Because this is premium product, right? No, so we put a lot of thought and consideration into it, and now we actually have a different label just for our retail shelves. And it made a world of difference just switching the label so that it was bright and that people could read what it said without the sun shining through it. And so those are the kinds of things, you know, have some pride and put a label on your product. And then there are labeling laws, if you will. I actually have a website pulled up here that just kind of goes through the label laws. It's really easy. Obviously, you need a product name. Ingredients if there's anything besides honey, but we also want to say, hey, there's honey in this jar. Contact information is a big one, so who's the beekeeper, where are you located, how can we get a hold of you? And then your net weight, you guys probably all know this, but on your label, honey is measured by weight. And then any other miscellaneous information like allergen information, but for honey, it's not really going to be an issue. So those are all things that need to go on our label. And then packaging, design, and decoration, I just kind of threw that in there. I don't know if you can see in my picture. Let me go back to my actual presentation. Like I said, first time doing a presentation, so thank you for bearing with me. You can kind of see on our jar in the back, we have the little charm and the dipper, like, that's very over the top, but gets people to buy it. You know, like, unnecessary. You guys all know that these dippers aren't even that great. They don't even really work that well. But, I mean, I'm being honest here. You all know. You probably all tried it. They're not that great. A spoon works better. But when you tie this on here, people will just go nuts for it and they want to buy it. Okay. So, value added. So, creamed honey. We all have, this is what comes out of the hive, super easy, throw it in a nice jar, you've added some value. If you want to add more value to this product, you can turn it into creamed honey. So also known as whipped or spun honey, it's smooth, buttery, dripless, spreadable, creamy. Basically, it's controlled crystallized honey. Is anybody here making creamed honey right now? No? Perfect. So I do have samples. You guys can all try this later if you haven't tried it. Anyways, it's just plain old honey that is basically forced to crystallize, but with very fine crystals to make it thick and spreadable and more desirable than your normal crystallized honey. So how you're going to do this is basically you're going to take 10% of seed honey. Seed honey would be like you could buy a jar from me and add it to your own honey, and it will turn your honey into creamed honey. Obviously, you're mixing it in, and from experience, yes, you can use your KitchenAid or you can use a hand mixer, but I've read some information on the internet says like whip it up really fast. I don't recommend that. Actually, low and slow, because you're gonna want to keep as many air bubbles out of it as possible. So if that air gets trapped in there, it can get kind of weird and foamy, and it might start looking weird in your jar. So less air is better. And for Iowa, you do not need any extra licensing or requirements to make creamed honey and sell it. So these two awesome products, you don't need to do anything different in Iowa. We're very lucky because there's a lot of states that to even bottle your own honey, there's laws against it, and you have to have someone else pack it for you. So that is a great value added product. So another step, flavored creamed honey. Same as the creamed honey, but obviously now we're adding some flavor. So you can do dry powdered herbs or freeze-dried fruit powder is what is typically used. The number one rule if you're going to try and do this, do not add moisture to your honey. We all know that if you add moisture to your honey, it can start to ferment, and that's not what you want to happen, unless you're making mead. But with Iowa, you do need special licensing to sell this product. So that would be your food processing plant license, which you'd have to obtain to sell this. This is going to be required to add anything to the honey. And you also need to do this in a commercial licensed kitchen facility. And there are additional label requirements as far as you're going to be listing all the ingredients, and you will have to record all of your lot numbers and keep track of your batches and all the ingredients that you use. So a little bit more bookkeeping on the back end. You can, now we're kind of talking about Christmas and gifts and stuff like that. You can absolutely make this at home and give it away as a gift. You can't start accepting money for it, if that makes sense. So this would be a great idea if you want to do small batches for Christmas. Especially cinnamon goes over very well in the winter months. And if you are interested in seeing what it would take to start selling flavored creamed honey or anything flavored, the Department of Inspections in Iowa, I know it sounds very scary place, but those guys are so happy to help you achieve whatever goals you have. So Kurt or Addison, those guys are great contacts over there. You can usually just send them an email, a text, or even call them and they get right back to you. So every time I have a question, that's who I talk to. Alright, I'm going to go on down the line to infused honey. So we started doing infused honey, earlier this year. And I didn't know if I'd like it or not because I was so into the flavored cream stuff, but I actually think I prefer it, especially because we've started cooking a lot with it and really trying to broaden our customers' horizons on what you can do with honey, because every single customer is like, oh, I can put it on toast. You can do so much more and put it on toast. So for cooking purposes, we've really been trying to get people to see all the possibilities out there. Again, that goes with value added. I mean, you really kind of have to educate your customers, but it is worth it. So infused honey is going to be the runny honey here, and you'll put whole dried herbs or spices or fruit in the honey. And you do want to keep this at a warmer temperature, but obviously you don't want to go higher than 100, 115. And it will pull the flavors from your herb or spice, and it will go within the whole jar of honey. Obviously, the longer that it sits at that higher temp, the more the flavor soaks in. We kind of do ours on a larger scale, so we actually have converted a chest freezer into a warmer, so we can fit, I don't know, maybe like 50, not 50, that's ridiculous, 25 cases of our honey in there, so it can sit in that controlled environment, staying warm for a week or so. And obviously, when it comes straight out of a bottling tank, that's around 100 degrees also, so that makes it really easy for us. But if you guys want to do like small batches at home, you just want your honey to be warm, around that 100 degrees. If you don't have a bottling tank, that's okay. You can do like a double boiler pot of water, just watch the temp. Get it nice and liquidy warm. And you can do it per jar, or you can do like a larger Tupperware container, whatever you have available to you. I personally think glass is better if you're gonna do like a bulk thing, but you can play around with whatever you want. But get that honey warm. You can also play around with how much of the herb or spice or the combination you want to put in there, but it will just go in the same container with that honey. And you don't need to hold it at temperature, that just speeds it up. So you could just let it sit for a week or so before you start using it. Some people say they'll put their container in like a window that gets sun, and that kind of helps speed up the process. If you're doing small batches at home, again for Christmas or anything like that, that's my 2 cents on how you should do it. You can also strain the herb or fruit when you're done, or you can leave it in the jar, just preference. If you do leave it in the jar like we do, it does rise to the top. Sometimes it's kind of annoying depending on what flavor it is. Like our rosemary gets kind of, I don't know, there's a pretty thick layer of rosemary at the top, but it's all preference. Okay, I have
Before you
samples.
leave that, I'm curious, you infuse spices and you mentioned fruit?
Yeah, so like we have a lemon infused, also an orange infused, and I guess ginger's not really a fruit, but ginger root. We have kind of an obnoxious amount of flavors. Lavender, rosemary, we even do vanilla bean, chili pepper, those are our infused. I do have samples of our creamed honeys and infused honeys. Is anybody interested in trying those, or do you want to wait till the end?
Let's wait till the end.
Okay, thanks. I needed someone to make a decision.
Otherwise it'll be a mad dash.
Maybe I'll need a sugar rush. It's getting late.
The infused, what's your favorite? What do you like?
My favorite is the garlic infused.
Really?
Yes. So we do dried minced garlic, and I love cooking with that. Sauteed veggies, chicken, steak marinade, yeah, all kinds of stuff. And like I said, it is difficult to broaden people's horizon on what they can do with honey. So something we started doing, and I failed to bring a loose card, but we started making recipe cards, which is what is in here. So we can kind of help people. Like this is a holiday thing we've put together. It's this nice little serving board, a jar of our rosemary, and it has a coordinating rosemary recipe card in here, and then that, really awesome dipper that everyone goes crazy for in here. So this is kind of like a package deal we do for Christmas, but again, value added, because I'm getting full price on this jar. I'm not losing any money on the board. You guys get some recipes, and you're even paying for the dipper. So I want to show you. What did I want to show you? I don't know. Now my brain's not working. Oh yeah, okay, so on our website, we've also, and this is a new thing I'm trying really hard to do, and I actually had to hire somebody to make it happen, because sitting behind the computer is not something that I really have time for. So I have hired someone to help enforce this get done. I'm working really hard on having blogs and recipes for all of these honeys that we've created. Now I have to show people how to use them. So this has only been about a week, but we've got a good start here. Five recipes. This is our garlic infused one. So pan-seared chicken, garlic infused honey. It's really simple, but again, people need directions sometimes. I totally understand that. So that's why, as a value added thing that we're trying to do, send people to our website to get ideas on what to do with all the honey that we've sold them. Okay, does anyone have any questions on the honey part of it? Because I'm gonna switch over to other products.
Yeah, do you ever do it like for infusion? Do you ever do it for like health benefits, or is it just flavor?
Absolutely. I don't like to get too caught up on preaching health benefits because you know that can be kind of a gray area sometimes. But we do have like lemon and ginger infused honeys for that reason. Same with lavender. And I do like throat soother recipes and stuff like that. Plus another thing that a lot of our customers are concerned about is the whole allergy thing, where they want to use our honey for allergies. And again, since it is all the same honey, they can choose any flavor that they might be attracted to and still get those benefits. So I do kind of touch on that, but it's definitely not the main thing. Anyone else? Any questions?
You mentioned at the beginning of your presentation that you sent 2 hives to California.
4.
Oh, 4 hives?
Yeah.
Okay. How,
The first time.
how did that work out? I
Um,
mean, were you in a consortium, or did you tie in with?
we tied in with somebody else, yeah, and
was his
actually,
name Andy?
no.
Okay, just checking.
I'm not here to talk poorly about anybody, but it was not a very good deal. Which actually, I kind of skipped over all this, but it led us to figure out how to do it on our own. So now, I don't know if you guys got the American Bee Journal this month, but Tyler was featured in it because he got a bunch of other smaller beekeepers, you know, like us in our area together, and he actually started sending out his own semis. And Tyler actually spends January through April in California working as a broker in those almond orchards. So he kind of sees the whole thing out there. So yes, that's a little on Tyler. He managed to make all that happen, send 2 semis out. He's actually getting ready for semis right now. Our bees will go out about the 15th, and then he'll go out middle of January. So
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good story.
yeah.
From 4 to semi-loads.
Yeah, well, again, the whole semi-load isn't ours, just about half of the semi-load.
Somebody's gotta set it up.
Yes, yeah. He was sick of waiting for it to just fall into his lap, so he just did it himself. So, alright, Beeswax Candles, another great value-added product, because you get all this beeswax when you harvest your honey. So what are you gonna do with it? Yes, you can sell it by the pound, and eventually someone might buy it, filtered or unfiltered. But if you have the time, you're gonna sell it a lot quicker in this form than a big old chunk of wax that nobody really knows what to do with, because that's another question I get all the time. What do you do with beeswax? So someday I'll write a blog about that on my website. But candles. You guys probably already know this, but beeswax candles are awesome, and they kind of sell themselves because they clean the air when you burn them. They're a very slow burning candle, and that right there is a lot of value. If you guys have ever burnt like soy or those paraffin candles, they don't last very long, and honestly, sometimes it's hard to breathe in the room when they're burning. So this is not like that. And there's all kinds of fun things that you can do with it. So this is just, an everyday pillar design. Same with this one. This one came from like Man Lake, I think, is where this mold came from. Probably this one also. And this is my latest obsession. That is a beautiful pine cone candle. And I started playing with dye. So it looks fairly realistic, I guess. So this one's dyed brown. Otherwise, these are just the plain beeswax, no color.
Hey, Sarah, you're talking about the molds, I got a couple too from the Man Lake. If you buy them from Man Lake, they'll actually tell you what wick size goes with
Yes.
that one. So if you're concerned about the wick size, they'll tell you, you gotta have to have this wick size for this wick size for that, so you just buy the wicks size they said,
Very
you don't
nice.
have to guess.
Yeah, and then if you know, are kind of ridiculous like me and you go on Etsy and you find all these other crazy molds, they don't tell you the wick size, so you just gotta figure it out yourself. But here's like a Christmas tree. So we try and play with like whatever season it is. I try and have something kind of coordinating with that. These are some leftover pumpkins from Halloween time. I don't know, kind of cute.
Where do you market all of your things, online or?
We do have an online store, but through the summer we're at 5 farmers markets a week, and right now everyone says, oh, you're probably slowing down, but no, we're doing vendor shows every weekend until Christmas, so we're kind of all over the place. Yeah, so a lot of in-person stuff, but yeah, we do have an online store as well. And it doesn't have to be about selling too. Like, this would be an awesome gift too. So if you could just do all handmade gifts this year, because otherwise your Christmas presents are probably floating in the ocean on a cargo ship somewhere.
That's the way it is now.
It is, yeah.
We're
So,
hoping they get to port.
right?
Order them now for next Christmas.
It could be.
That's right. So yeah, these are just plain beeswax filtered bars. I have some. I do have a candle obsession, if you guys can't tell. This is just like a small fraction of what I have to offer. So these are floating candles, even. You can get really crazy and wild with all the candles that are out there. Okay, but there are silicone molds you can use. Those are actually my favorite. So like we talked about Man Lake, that's gonna be the easiest if you're just starting out because they're gonna tell you your wick size. You can also use plastic molds. I have tried several. They're kind of hit or miss. They're usually cheaper, so that's a plus, but sometimes they're a lot harder to get the candle out of. You can also fill jars or tins. I found all of these tins on Amazon for a really affordable price, and they're cute design with a lid. Fill it up, super easy. The number one thing I hear all the time about all these nice freestanding candles is that they're too pretty, no one wants to burn them, which is kind of sad because that's what they're for, is burning. So if you have something like this, people usually don't have an issue burning that. We have also recently started accepting our honey jars back, and because of our licensing, we can't reuse the jar to sell honey in, but we can make it into a candle, so that's kind of cool. We'll do that also. So if you are looking to sell your candles, I highly recommend selling them based off of the weight, so the amount of wax that it took you to make the candle. My philosophy is I don't want somebody to be able to make the candle for less than me, if that makes sense. So if I sell a pound of wax for $16 a pound, that's typically what I start my pricing out. So I'll weigh this, figure out how much it weighs at $16 a pound, and then I add my time into that. So I usually mark that up about 25%. So that's how I do it. You could literally just pull a number out of the sky, and that's how you do it. No big deal. Some other things to consider, if you haven't worked with beeswax before, you are going to need that square, what's it called, square knot, or the wick, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, I remember seeing
You
it.
can feel it, it feels like a square. You need that kind of wick to actually be able to burn the beeswax. It's the hardest wax, so the wick really does matter. Also with wick size, like we kind of have touched on, I don't have any examples of it, but if you didn't have a thick enough wick for this, it would only burn like a very small hole down the middle, and if you are selling it, you probably get some customer complaints. So you want to make sure that you have the appropriate size wick for the diameter of your candles so that customers aren't feeling like it was a waste, anything like that. Plus safety, I'm sure, comes into that also.
So do you burn some of your candles?
Yes, yeah, they're like every surface of my home, yeah. I used to melt down the rejects, like the ones that weren't perfect, and just reuse the wax, and then I thought, well, you know what, that took a lot of effort anyways, and then I'm wasting the wick, so now all the rejects come in the house, and they're just everywhere, yeah. Which makes it sound like I have a lot of rejects, but, we
But
will,
sure, the wick size, if you don't know the wick size, the best, what I understood, the best thing to do is just make one candle and try it, see if the wick, and burn it.
you could definitely do trial and error. However, I wish I would have wrote down the website. With a little bit of Google searching, you can find out, based on the wick size, the approximate diameter for that wick size. So you can definitely do that too. But also trial and error is definitely gonna come into play there, because that could be wrong.
Like your acorn, where you've got it where it goes down, funnels down, I mean, I assume you base the wick size on the base of it rather than on the, towards the top?
Correct, yeah, yep. And silicone release spray has become like my best friend. Some of these molds with all this detail in here, it can be very hard to get the candle out in one piece without breaking off anything, so I highly recommend using that as well. And I did kind of touch on it, wax dye. You can get crazy with it and just do any color you want. Or if you like the yellow, which is still very desirable, you can just stick with yellow too.
How do you dye the wax?
I'm an Amazon junkie, so I found some wax. It's not a liquid. I've tried the liquid, it does not work very well in beeswax. So it also melts with your wax. They're like little chunks of color. Those, in my opinion, are the best to kind of mask the yellow base color, and a little goes a long ways. So that's my 2 cents. Usually if you are an Amazon person and you search wax dye, and it's one of the first results that comes up that's not a liquid. Hopefully that helps you.
Have you put any scents into your candles?
I have. It doesn't really work that well. Because I'm not buying like fragrance. Because to me that kind of defeats the purpose. I have tried essential oils in there. Sometimes it works, but it's so not noticeable that it's not even worth it. So the honey scent definitely overpowers any essential oil that I've put into it. So it's not worth it to me.
Do you have any problem burning your candles in the container? I've tried it before and do you have to cut it with something to get it to burn?
What kind of wick are you using?
Square cotton wick.
Okay, again, it could be a diameter thing. Some of these tin ones have been a little bit difficult, and there have been instances where I'm making like my own. If I refill like a glass jar or something, I'll cut it with coconut oil to make it a little bit softer if I'm worried about that. Or you can do 2 wicks too.
So would you like half and half then, with coconut versus beeswax?
Yep, and it'll still definitely have that beeswax smell. So hopefully that helps. Any other candle questions? Alright, so some other products you can do with your wax or honey. I kind of just have a big list here. And I did bring some things. And let's see. So lip balm, obviously that's a no-brainer and super easy. Again, Amazon, you can get a kit for like 20 bucks where it sets all of the tubes on a plastic tray, and you can just pour and it evenly disperses to all of those tubes. So not very messy compared to filling 1 tube at a time. So that's an idea. Super inexpensive. We've done salves, lotion bars. This is a little lotion bar we've done.
So is the lip balm a mix of something?
Yeah, so it's, beeswax alone is very hard.
Right.
So our recipe is beeswax, coconut oil, shea butter, and then I do peppermint and lavender essential oils in my recipe. There are so many recipes out there online. You can play with it and find your perfect blend, whatever you prefer. And usually when I do trial and error on that, I'll let it like cool on a spoon and see how hard it actually is, because the beeswax can get very hard and you don't want to be dragging that across your lip. So usually it's not as much beeswax as shea butter and coconut oil, just so you guys kind of have a point of reference. We also do sugar scrub. So this is actually honey, not beeswax. It's organic sugar, honey, coconut oil, and then essential oils in here. It's really good for your face and acne, actually. So that's something we've done. Another version, lip scrub. So you could just kind of change that a little bit. I've never done the hair conditioner, but honey is really good for your hair and skin. So there's a lot of recipes out there for that as well. Same with shower gel, mouthwash, rust preventer. You guys ever have like tools in the garage or something? You can actually do a beeswax coconut oil rub to prevent rust. I'm actually a cast iron junkie as well, so I love vintage cast iron and I restore it. And actually I've made my own blend of grapeseed oil, beeswax, to make a rust preventer on my cast iron, like a seasoning stick. Wood polish, leather conditioner, bees wrap. So this is a plastic wrap alternative that we sell. It's just cotton fabric soaked in beeswax. Some people also will add propolis to this to make it a little more sticky. I don't, but or you could use tree resin also. And fire starters, those are always things you see done with beeswax. You guys have any questions on products at all?
Just a quick note.
Yeah.
I had an interesting brokering request just today from a reclusive gold miner in Arizona. And he was looking for about 8 or 9 pounds of beeswax, and he didn't need it totally filtered and refined, he just wanted some solid globs of beeswax. And he's off the grid, and he pans for gold up in some mountains there. But he's making containers. He's got a mold. He's gonna make beeswax containers for his gold dust. And then he's burying them. Just
Huh.
Really very.
Yeah, that's a
kind of through a family member that's trying to help him out. And she contacted me and I got her the beeswax. And now she's got to quickly send them to some kind of remote place in Arizona.
So is he gonna pay you in gold dust?
Yeah, I was hoping, no.
Is he gonna tell you where he buried it?
Yeah, there's some radioactive isotopes in the beeswax. I'll be able to find it. My question for him would be, what's the deal? And I'm suspicious in that he doesn't want people coming out with metal detectors or something, but then it's, well, it is gold in that beeswax.
Huh.
You can file that away for your
Yeah,
beeswax.
I will file that away. If I find myself, filtering gold and need to store my dust. Okay, so just a couple, I want to touch on some more like value added. Oh, I didn't say doggy paw wax for the pooches, so we do doggy paw wax too. It is the holiday time, so value added is huge because I swear it's just a different combination of the products that we already do in a nice box or a different form, and right there it's just something different and new. So this is a $20 gift box we put together. basically the idea is that it's ready to be handed to someone, ready to gift. So little jar of honey, lip balm, little dipper. We do a mini creamed honey and then a mini, this is a present candle. So that's an idea. Just a quick $20 there. Also, this is not our normal honey jar that we offer any other time except for on the holidays. I don't know why, but people love the weird jars, and I refuse to do bears. So this is, you know, right there.
It doesn't have one of those little dippers.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah, I did, right here,
Mini one.
pointless dipper.
Oh, there it is.
Yep, there it is.
I
Yeah,
didn't see that.
little boxes, these are all little $4 items, candles, mini honey, lip balm, little dipper in there.
Gotta just throw it in for free, they're so popular.
Yeah, ew. Oh, kids at the farmer's market are the best, man, because I sell these little jars of honey there. And every kid begs their mom to buy this because of the little dipper, so there you go. Also with this little jar of honey, I just want to talk about how awesome this stupid little jar of honey is because we retail our honey $10 a pound. I feel like that's kind of average price in our area. But if you put it in a little jar like this, I think I did the math, $22 a pound. Yeah, it's insane.
Nice
So,
packaging though.
what?
It's nice packaging.
Yeah, well, totally, and it's great for a gift. I'm not trying to like talk poorly about this. It has its place. It has its place, but this is how you can really get that premium price. I mean, sure, it's gonna take a lot longer to maybe sell those little jars,
By
but
the way, the packaging my children like is half gallon. And it's usually a gift. And no labeling.
perfect.
Sarah, what kind of bottling operation do you have with all the variety of containers and amounts?
We have a. I need Tyler here for this. I just pulled a lever. We have a bottling tank that holds a barrel. That's just our plain wildflower honey. We have a 15-gallon tank for our plain creamed honey. We bought the mixer for it, so we can has an internal mixer in the tank that does our creamed honey. And oh man. Okay, we bought a fancy bottler. We paid a lot of money. It's from like Sweden. What is the name of the brand? I don't know.
Liaison?
What is it?
Liaison?
Starts with the S. I don't know. Anyways, it's an automatic bottler. It has a big hopper on the top so we can dump our flavored stuff in it. And then it has a nice turntable where it auto fills jars as we line them up. And that's super nice because you just set the weight and then every jar is filled the exact same level. Because I can tell you right now, there is no way I would be filling hundreds of these little jars out of a gate bucket. I've done it before and it sucks. So that tank or that bottler definitely gets us through with doing all the jar sizes. It's really nice. You can just program. You can have a button for each size jar, and it goes. Yeah.
What about your labels? Obviously you got a lot of different labels. Do you get them all different places?
We get all of our labels through Sticker Giant. I think they're out of Colorado. They have the best quality for the price that I have found. I was doing, you can see on ours, like, I was trying to be cost effective because the labels are not cheap. So for our flavored stuff, I did one label that would fit every single flavor, and then the actual flavor with the ingredients for each flavor is on the lid, so separately. That way I'm not having to do like a different base label. I know it kind of sounds crazy, like I have to do a different label anyways, but for the longest time I was actually printing all the flavored labels on my printer at home. But only recently were we able to finally make the switch to get the fancy labels for the top too, and I'm glad we did. These are some of the old ones. They're not water resistant or anything, they're just, like I said, I printed them on my printer at home. So when they do get wet, they get ugly, they get wrinkly. So yeah, we finally made the switch. And we have for labeling our jars, what is it? It's like a little crank tabletop labeler. It's awful. It was $500 and it was a big, I can't believe I paid $500 for that thing because it's such a pain. But there's not really anything in between that and then a fully automatic, you know, couple $1,000 labeler. So hopefully that's in my future. Yes. Anything else? You guys gonna go home and flavor a bunch of honey and make a bunch of candles now?
That beeswax, I know I have a sheet I lay out when I do my beeswax too, and there's probably more than that. It's 99 things you can do with beeswax. You know,
Yeah.
and there's probably more than that out
Yeah.
there, you know, so you can use it on, well, it's in some of your food, you don't even know what's in there, candy, it's in that. It's not even know what's there.
That's true. Yeah.
Have you dove into like candy lozenges or candies at all?
Mm-mm. I'm not the baker. No. I do think it's cool. I guess I've made just for ourselves. I did cough drops one time out of the honey. It's kind of a mess. It's a lot. But I do think that's really cool when people can do that. It's not for me. So. Alright, well, I do have samples and you guys can come up and see the things that I brought if you're interested. What else do I have on here? I went over all this already. More value stuff. Just, obviously, how do you get the word out about sales? Word of mouth is definitely going to be the best way because if someone tells you that it's good, that's a no-brainer. Instead of you having to find out for yourself, you can take your friend's word for it. Obviously, website's also awesome, and being persistent. I'll tell you, I didn't always have good luck at farmers markets, but I just kept at it. And social media is super easy. I know it's not for everyone, but it's free. It's all free. You can reach so many people in your area, even just by social media. So that is how we have gotten a ton of new followers or people interested in it. And every time I'm at a market or an event, I always have people say, oh, I saw you on Facebook, you did a live video or this and that. Like, it works. It really does. I know it's not for everyone. It took me a long time to be able to do live videos just on a whim, but it works. So, if you guys think of any other questions down the road, shoot us an email. We would love to chat, see what your questions are, help you out if we can. So there's
This
that.
is your first presentation?
Yeah.
Well. You really are a very interesting person, and you have hit the road running with the world of business and beekeeping, and the topic has been very interesting tonight too, so thank you very much.
Okay, I should say I do have a marketing degree. How about that?
Okay, well, that explains it.
But to be fair, I never ever knew I'd be marketing my own stuff.
Nice job.
Thank you guys.
So the Holton Homestead, does that just sell honey or is there any other stuff that you sell?
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of chickens and ducks, geese.
They started it all off, right?
They did, yeah. So I mean, if you're wondering, those 6 outlaw chickens actually turned into like 206 random birds that now roam all over our property. The farm came with luscious grass, and that's not there anymore. The landscaping is trash. Everything that I thought was gonna be nice is not because of these birds. But we had lots of eggs and our freezer is full of meat, so there's that. We also have a pig named Carl. Somewhere in this line of trying to figure out what the homestead was going to do, we thought we were going to breed pigs. So now we have a pet pig named Carl. Yeah, so I feel like we've kind of tried it all, and this is definitely where our hearts are at. So,
Very nice.
yeah.
So it seems like doing 5 farmers markets plus all these other things, 200 hives of bees is not gonna produce you enough honey or beeswax.
No, it's not.
So,
It is not.
is that something you look for, or?
That we look for?
Yeah.
So Tyler actually is full-time employed with Kurt and Connie at Spring Valley Honey. So he definitely has access to honey if we need it for mixing our flavors and stuff like that. And yeah, so Tyler quit his job. He used to be an auto body technician. We met in the car world, and I guess I feel weird telling his story because he should be telling it, but he quit his job because he knew he wanted to do the California thing, and so he took a job doing fencing for the summer, and it didn't pay very well. Honestly, we didn't know how we were gonna pay the bills, but that didn't matter because happiness is important. And so
You get hungry.
he took a fencing job, and then at night he worked at XPO. So I mean, he just pretty much worked himself to death until January, because he knew he was going to be leaving for 4 months. And I listened to a lot of true crime podcasts, and he went out there to work for this guy like he'd never met before, and he was going to live in a camper that this guy was providing, and I'm like, you're going to die. He's going to kill you. I will never see you again, and this is how it ends. But he did live, and actually now he's allowed to stay in the house. He doesn't have to stay in the camper anymore. So that's kind of how this all happens. Like he just knew he wanted this, so he made it happen. And then when he came back from his first time at California, he had no idea what he was gonna do for a job. And I'm like, just don't worry about it. Like, just get here and we'll figure it out. Like, you'll find a job. It's not a big deal. And Kurt was hiring, so he asked Tyler to work for him, and it was such a sign, because I'm like, man, the universe provides. Like, I never would have thought that Kurt would want Tyler to work for him, so that was kind of cool, and it all worked out. So he's been there for 3 years now, and hopefully next year's his last year, because we want to have 500 hives here real soon.
Maybe there'll be a reality TV show coming your direction at some point.
Stop, we're not that exciting. You guys can do this too.
Do you do any videos for like working with bees?
Tyler does.
No.
He has, so if you haven't figured it out, this is my half, and he really takes care of the bees and does all that in the hive stuff. I get in the hive from time to time, but I mean, he doesn't have to wear a veil, he doesn't swell, he's just been stung so many times he doesn't even react. If I get stung, I swell so bad, so it's not my favorite thing. But he does, you guys probably aren't in like the same Facebook groups because you're kind of far away from us, but like the friendly beekeepers. Yeah, he's been trying to do some more like educational videos and stuff lately, so I told him, instead of telling me everything, you should tell everyone else. Yeah.
See, I've watched his videos.
Are
I've
these
seen you on Facebook too, but he's pretty funny when he does it. Some of the bee stuff he does, so.
Yeah. I feel like I just unloaded our whole life story to you guys, so, yeah.
We're basically family.
Yep.
So this is your warm up for, now, you're gonna be
Oh my
speaking at the
God,
Iowa State,
yes.
or Iowa Honey Producers
I
now.
somehow got roped into that, and you guys, I'm nervous, I don't know why. Thanks for being my practice run. Yeah, I get to speak at the Iowa Honey Producers on Friday, so.
Same stuff?
Kind of. Apparently somebody's already kind of mastered like the flavored creamed honey, and that's been talked about a lot before, so I guess I'm mainly focusing on infused, and I hope I don't bore people because that's a pretty narrow topic, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, the sales aspect, I think, was interesting to people, and it's clear you have a handle on that.
What part specifically?
Well, just the presentation, the packaging, the labeling, those little things you dip, you know. Those are really important.
Magic dipper.
They're important for selling, they're not important for using.
And just what you said about the honey on the shelf.
Mhm.
You know, I go into the grocery stores and I see P&P honey and they have a display that jumps out at you. And they
Stings you
always
when you
have-
walk by.
They always have little stickers that says organic and, you know, makes you, and it's on the top shelf where the good stuff usually is.
Nice, yes.
Well, see, that's marketing, you know that.
Mhm. Yeah, oh, I've learned a lot of it the hard way too, so. Yeah, thank you. I need to know what's interesting and what needs to leave the presentation, so. Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. This has been fun. I hope you come try some honey and touch all the stuff.